Welcome back to The Leading Edge. In this video, I will be discussing a topic that really grinds my gears, and that is the 100 competition. Now, cricket is a unique sport in that you have something for everybody. You have a 5-day match, you have an ODI, 50-over game, and then in the early 2000s, you get 2020. One of the things that has done is put a lot of pressure on schedules, on the cricket calendar, and trying to squeeze everything into a sort of a 4 or 5 month period in the British summer. So we got to the point, if you cast your mind back to sort of 2017, 2018, whenever the 100 was announced, we'd already got to the point where players were suffering with burnout. You were getting this sort of hamster wheel where you were playing a county championship game, then you're driving straight up in your car or on the bus, and you're going and playing a 2020 game, and then back you were playing a 50-50 game, and there was too much cricket. There was far too much cricket, and it was getting to the point where they were just doing it. They weren't preparing for these games. There wasn't a proper break. Because one of the things when you play Test match cricket, international cricket, you meet a few days before and you prepare properly. And the breeding ground for that should be county cricket. You should have time to prepare properly in advance for a game, rather than just becoming this constant, you're on the treadmill, and you're playing one format for a few days, then you're playing a different format the next day. It all just merged into one. So then what do the ECB do? I have to say, I remember at the time, I thought what they do would be a franchise 2020 competition. What I couldn't work out in my mind was how that would affect the smaller counties, because ultimately, English cricket's become a bit of a socialist experiment, right, where a lot of the counties would make a loss if they weren't given big subsidies from the ECB. One of the ways they have been able to earn more money in the last couple of decades is through hosting, evening 2020 games. But I honestly thought we got to the tipping point where there's too much cricket, and I thought rather than a full-on county restructure, I thought there'd be a regional, a franchise 2020 tournament introduced, which, by the way, is what the ECB should have done well before. I mean, we invented 2020. We brought it in 2002, 2003, whenever it was. We brought it into the game as a welcome addition to bring more kids, more families, and get more people involved in the game. And I think we can all agree that worked very well. What we didn't see, or what the ECB didn't see, was the commercial aspect of it. And the Indians very quickly picked up on that. And while we were still treating it as a bit of a hit and giggle, they turned it into the IPL. And then the ECB sat on their hands, and you watched the Big Bash. And then, West Indies, Pakistan, they all have leagues as well. And we're suddenly so far behind the game. So, yeah, again, bring your mind back to 2018, however it was. We already have 3 forms of cricket. So the ECB announced this thing called 100, which lasts for about 20 minutes less than a game of 2020, but supposedly is going to bring even more new people into the game, even though 2020 was already doing that, because it lasts you can fit it into 3 hours instead of 3.25 or 3.5. But there was going to be no change to the competitions. So you still have county cricket, you still have the 50-50, it was a 40-40 for a little while, and then the Vitality Blast was staying as is. So the ECB had taken already completely over-congested calendar, added another competition in, dedicated the whole month of August to this competition, and we're stuck with this thing where nobody else in the cricketing world plays the 100. Nobody else will play it. It's a farcical idea. If you can't count to 6 and realise that cricket has overs that last for 6 balls and then you change ends, maybe cricket's not for you. Okay, it's not as I played cricket when I was 6, 5, 6, whenever it was. I very quickly worked out how to count to 6 and then the bowler swaps ends. It's not difficult. Okay, we don't need to be watered down to such a point where you think it has to go up in sequential balls. So now we're stuck with this competition. I can't stand it. I will not patronise it. I will not have anything to do with it. It's completely tone deaf to the actual supporters of the game who wanted a better balance between red ball and white ball. So they wanted county cricket not to be continuing to get pushed out to the peripheries. They wanted it played more in the summer, i.e. August, when people have to bowl spin. Bowlers have to learn how to bowl fast on flatter wickets, and you're trying to mimic Test cricket as much as possible, right? And that's the balance that we as the supporters wanted to see struck. But the ECB don't give a shit about the supporters of the game. They're obsessed with trying to find new touch points with new people or whatever this marketing nonsense is. To make matters worse, they've then gone and sold off a huge part of our county game to basically exclusively Indian investors. So instead of reforming the game, reforming the calendar, personally, there needs to be less counties, in my opinion. I will come on to that in another video. But instead of doing that, the ECB have just kicked the can down the road, taken the easy way out, and raised some money in the short term. Money which will go to counties like Derbyshire, Leicestershire, all these places, and it will keep them afloat for a few more years. Now, it's a one-time payment. I don't know what the plan is after all that money has been pissed away. I really don't. And the ironic thing is that the ECB, who should have started a franchise 2020 competition, it's going to be a franchise 2020 competition, because once this deal's expired in the next 2-3 years for the 100, we all know what's going to happen. The Indian owners are going to turn it into an English franchise 2020 competition, our version of the IPL, and they're going to have control of it all. And it's been done as a short-term fix for a sticking plaster to put over a problem, which for a county game which needs some structural reform, and either needs less counties, or the counties have to be sensible with their money and become self-sufficient. And it's really hard for me to work out where it goes from here, because let's look at the broader picture. Let's look at our Test cricket. Let's look at our spin department. You could pick Dawson or Leach. Okay, they're both coming somewhat towards the end of their careers. Bashir can't even get a gig in county cricket. I don't know why he's been picked so much. He's not up to it. But there's nobody else. And it's not his fault, by the way. He can't barely get a game in county cricket. He's had to go to Derbyshire now. But spinners aren't needed in April. Okay, Bob Willis told us this a decade or more ago. Okay, when you're getting to a stage where Darren Stevens and David Masters are taking so many wickets, you know there's a problem. Because, keeper up in April, it's nipping around, but that does not replicate Test cricket in any way, shape or form. You look at our white ball cricket, it's fallen off a cliff. Trevor Bayliss and Owen Morgan did such a great job of, we were such a shambles in 2015, and they brought us to the very top in 2019. And then what did the ECB do? Oh, we'll have this 100 competition. Our domestic 50-over competition will become a fucking farce where it's kids and just the random older professional who's nearly finished his career. You look at the team sheets on those games, I don't hardly recognise anybody on those team sheets. It's just a joke of a competition. The Vitality Blast has become a complete afterthought. The standard of that, the players that are available, is not what it used to be. And yeah, we didn't get. Yeah, we got to the semi-final of the last 2020 World Cup, but we struggled against the lower-ranked teams in the early stages. And our 2023 50 over ODI defence was an absolute embarrassment and a debacle. And it's no wonder, because all you've got is the fumes of the Morgan team left. Okay, you've not got guys like Hales, Roy, Bairstow playing quality domestic 50 over competition anymore, which is where the success came from in the first place, because everything has been watered down to accommodate this bullshit 100 competition. And ECB, for me, are not fit for purpose. This has been one of the stupidest decisions I've seen, and they've wrapped it up as if they've saved the game, and they are so out of touch with people like you and I, people who genuinely care about the game. It's not even funny. They're so arrogant. They're so pious. And like I said, what's going to happen in a few more years when this money runs out? What are they going to sell off next? What are they going to sell off next? Yeah, the 100. It's an embarrassment. It's a sticking plaster. The real problem is the finances behind the scenes in county cricket. But enough from me on the 100. I will come on to county cricket and what I would do to reform it. If you're a supporter of... Look, I'm a supporter of Derbyshire, but if you're a supporter of Derbyshire and Leicestershire and counties like that, you're probably not going to like what I have to say. But I think it needs to be said. I'll see you on the next one.